What events led the world to witness the unprecedented devastation of nuclear attacks on Japan? As the globe was engulfed in the throes of World War II, a fierce conflict raged between the Allied powers and the Axis, setting the stage for a series of events that would culminate in a profound historical moment. At the heart of the turmoil was Japan, whose military expansion across East Asia and the Pacific had escalated tensions to a breaking point. Japan's aggressive maneuvers not only threatened the balance of power, but also prompted severe economic sanctions from the Allies. These sanctions aimed to curb Japan's advances, pushing the Pacific region into a state of heightened alert and conflict. Amidst this backdrop, the Potsdam Declaration emerged as a critical element, a final ultimatum issued in July of 1945, demanding Japan's unconditional surrender. Initially, Japan rejected the Potsdam Declaration, a stance that heavily influenced the Allies' subsequent decisions. With peace negotiations faltering, a drastic decision loomed on the horizon. August 6 and 9, 1945, days that forever changed the course of history. On a clear morning in Hiroshima, without any forewarning, the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, was dropped. Its detonation unleashed a catastrophic explosion, erasing nearly everything within a 4-mile radius. Buildings crumbled, fires raged, and an estimated 70,000 lives were extinguished in an instant. Just 3 days later, another bomb, known as Fat Man, descended upon Nagasaki. In a blink, the city was engulfed in a monstrous fireball, which created a massive plume of heat, light, and radiation. This second attack compounded the horror, claiming the lives of roughly 40,000 people on the spot, with thousands more destined to suffer from injuries and radiation sickness. The images of devastation were unparalleled. Landscapes turned to wastelands, cities devoid of their historical essence, and skies darkened by the ashy fallout. In mere moments, 2 cities were reduced to ashes, and tens of thousands of lives were lost. The bombs ceased detonating, but the impacts resonated far beyond the blast zones. In the eerie silence that followed, the invisible menace of radiation began its insidious spread. It seeped into the very DNA of those who survived, heralding a tragic legacy of health issues. Years, even decades later, survivors faced increased risks of cancer, leukemia, and a heartbreaking prevalence of birth defects in new generations. But the suffering was not confined to physical ailments alone. Survivors, known as hibakusha, found themselves wrapped in a shroud of stigma. Their experiences, while harrowing, were often met with misunderstanding and fear, isolating them from the rest of society. This social ostracization added a layer of psychological trauma to their already heavy burdens. Economically, the road to recovery was slow and fraught with challenges. Cities once vibrant were reduced to hollow echoes of their former selves, struggling under the weight of reconstruction. The scars left by the atomic bombings were not only physical but also deeply woven into the societal fabric of Japan. How did 2 bombings reshape global nuclear policy? In the wake of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world stood in shock. Nations across the globe grappled with the realization of the destructive power now at humanity's fingertips. This unprecedented display of force spurred an immediate international reaction that was a mix of horror and a frantic reassessment of military strategies. Simultaneously, the initiation of arms races marked a tense period in global politics. Countries felt compelled to develop their own nuclear arsenals, fearing their vulnerability in a newly atomic-armed world. This led to a proliferation of nuclear weapons that escalated the stakes of international conflict, setting the stage for the Cold War. Despite the arms race, there was also a growing movement towards nuclear disarmament. Treaties such as the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty were significant efforts aimed at preventing the future use of nuclear weapons. Nations came together, albeit slowly, to advocate for a decrease in nuclear arsenals and to promote peace and security. The legacy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki has been a continuous push for a world without nuclear arms. With the knowledge of such devastation, how do we move forward? In the shadow of nuclear desolation, humanity stands at a crossroads, reflecting deeply on the moral and ethical lessons born from the ashes of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These events compel us to confront uncomfortable truths about the power humans wield and the responsibilities that come with it. Historical remembrance serves as our collective conscience. It educates new generations about the grim consequences of atomic warfare and acts as a bulwark against the recurrence of such horrors. By remembering, we commit to the advocacy of peace and the rejection of violence as a means to resolve conflicts. In today's interconnected world, the role of peace education and international diplomacy has never been more critical. It teaches negotiation over confrontation and understanding over division, guiding nations towards collaborative solutions for global challenges. May the memories of those dark days serve as a relentless reminder of the need for peace and the perils of nuclear warfare.